Hello and welcome to this How 7th edition has affected Tau video with Iain. Hello. As I said, it is a How 7th edition affected Tau. So I'm going to go through the Tau codex and I'm going to go through some of the rules and stuff and basically just explain how it's been affected. To start off with, 7th edition came out early this year, so 2014. Tau were quite a strong codex in the 6th edition codex, in the 6th edition rules. Their codex came out 2013, around May time, I think. I can't remember completely, but it was quite a strong codex, one of the strongest. It introduced some special rules like supporting fire, which is quite useful, and other stuff like that. So into 7th edition, I feel it's still quite a strong codex. It still holds its own. It's probably not the strongest, but it's like a Swiss Army knife. You can do so much with it, and it's very versatile. So in the 7th edition book, the main thing that's been added is the psychic phase. So there's a whole new phase. You've got the movement, you've then got the psychic, you've then got the shooting, and then the assault phase. This hasn't really affected Tau at all. Tau, we don't have many psychers. We use our technology to overpower our opponents. So we don't use our minds. So yeah, there's no real difference there for the Tau. With the psychic pool, it means that we can deny the witch, but it's exactly the same effectively as the old deny the witch, so you're just trying to roll sixes. Against stuff like Tyranids, who can bring 50 million psychers, against stuff like demons, who can bring loads of psychers. Eldar can bring some powerful psychers. It seems a lot of the other armies have psychers. Obviously, not too fussed about that. As I said, our strength is elsewhere. So, psychic phase, has it really affected them? No, it hasn't. We just carry on doing what we do best, which is shoot people. Shoot people in the toe. Okay, so next, 7th edition. Now, we have had a split in the mission types. So we've got Eternal War and the Maelstrom of War. Eternal War are the standard ones that we all know from previous editions. The Maelstrom of War ones, they add a bit of a twist to the game. They're more objective-based games, so you need to capture objectives. Tau, can they do this? Yes and no. Their troops are quite good in shooting and holding off advancing opponents, but they're not the strongest. Probably the best troops choice to hold off people and to secure an objective is something like Chaos Plague Marines or something like that. Tau, they're not overly strong, they're not overly tough. They also don't have brilliant armour. It's reasonable, but enough fight, and they're limited to 12, which is still the same as before, but it just means that their troops aren't brilliant at holding objectives, which isn't too much of a problem because you don't have to put troops in there. It's only if you've got troops versus troops that you'd need your troop choice in there. The elites, the heavies, they're all still up there, they're still quite strong, so they can hold objectives. With that, it's become I've found, a lot about moving around, the manoeuvrability. So having tanks that can just zip here, there and everywhere is very good for the objective-based games. So having your skimmers, they can jump here, there and everywhere, and they can capture objectives. Whereas before, obviously tanks and stuff couldn't really capture objectives unless it was big guns never tire. So that's an added benefit for the Tau, and also for other armies similar to the Tau, like the Eldar have their skimmers as well. They're very quick, very agile, they can get up there, they can capture objectives using their tanks and other vehicles. With the skimmers also, Tau have some of the best skimmers. If you equip them with disruption pods, they get a cover save, and they can take weapons, they can, you know, their armour's not bad either, so all in all, Tau vehicles are quite good. Your Devilfish, your Hammerheads, they're all vital in the Tau army. They ignore terrain as well, as I said, because they are skimmers, which gives you a trumps card against like rolling tanks, because they have to struggle to get around terrain, or they could get immobilised if they drive through it, whereas Tau tanks can just skim over it. They can skim right past and capture the objectives, as I said. Okay, so sticking with the movement, another really useful thing for the Tau is their jetpack moves. Basically, you can come in, you can move, you can shoot, and then you can move again in the assault phase. Even if you're not assaulting, you can do an assault move. Again, if you're trying to capture objectives, last minute objectives, you can hop over 2d6 jetpack moves. It's quite decent. I'm going to read out the rule for jetpack move just in case you don't know it. So movement jetpacks, they move as normal models of their type. So if they're infantry, they move their normal distance. Skyborne. When using its jetpack, whether moving or making a thrust move, as we'll discuss in a moment, a model can move over all other models and terrain freely. However, if the model begins or ends its move in a difficult terrain, it must take a dangerous terrain test, which again is brilliant. Just like the skimmers, it can just go, what, there's a wall, and jump over it, and it's quite good there. Jetpack models cannot end their move on top of other models, and can only end their move on top of it, and can only end their move on top of impassable terrain if it is actually possible to place the models on top of it, which is fine, because unless it's like I don't know, a crevice or something, it's fine most of the time. They just need to do a dangerous terrain test for that. So the thrust move. A jetpack unit is not locked in combat, can move up to 2d6 in the assault phase. So if they're 10 inches away from an objective, they can just move. Obviously they need to roll quite highly for that. Even if they shot or have run in the preceding shooting phase, or after arriving by deep strike. When a jetpack unit moves in the assault phase and does not charge, they move just as they would using their jetpacks in the movement phase. So again, they ignore the terrain, jump over it, and they just move normally. So yeah, all the crisis suits have that, the Riptide has that, the stealth suits have that, most of the suits have that. So it means that, again, you are quite a mobile army. Then you can hop here, there and everywhere. You can find cover, so you've just finished your turn, obviously, and it's your opponent's turn next. You want to find some cover so that they don't just shoot you out of the sky. So that's good. You can hop around, you can move around. Okay, so shooting phase. Now, the Tau, obviously, they're at their best in the shooting phase. They have always had the best kind of guns in the game, and it's maintained that in 7th edition. They've still got very good weapons. Can't shoot them all the time, but that's why you use marker lights. Now, in our last league, I didn't use marker lights that much. I just wanted to kit them out as many guns as I could, but we've played a couple games with them, and they are quite good. You can just reduce people's cover, increase your ballistic skill. Marker lights, you do need some here and there in your army. For me, I can chop and change because I've got such a big army. But marker lights, you hit them, you can fire seeker missiles, you can increase ballistic skill, and you can reduce cover. Now, if you've got a combination of those going on, they can be quite lethal to have those extra points on there. I think that maybe they might be a little bit expensive for what they are. Like, Pathfinders are pretty much just people that are sending marker lights out. That's fine. I quite enjoy them, but maybe a point or two less. That's what I'm saying. I know plenty of people that will disagree with me, but that's just how I feel. I think the whole Tau army should be 2 or 3 points less. No, I'm just playing. They're fine as they are. The marker lights, yeah, they are a good booster for the Tau. Like I said earlier, with the snap supporting fire as well, they're all special things for the Tau that make the Tau just that little bit better, so they can hold their own in battles against Tyranids, against Eldar, against Space Wolves, against the other, even Necrons, the other top tiers armies. So they're not bad. Supporting fire, obviously, if you've got a model that's got supporting fire special rule within 6 inches and you're being charged, they can also overwatch. So that's effectively 2 lots of overwatch coming at you. It's not bad, considering, again, the crisis suits have overwatch, supporting fire, so you can upgrade them with like melters, missile pods. You can upgrade them with anything, so they're quite good with that. Obviously, the supporting fire and the marker lights were out before 7th edition, but it's just enhanced them within 7th edition. It's kept them up there with the rest of the units. Not the units, armies. The rest of the armies. Monstrous creatures basically are Riptide models. Now, monstrous creatures got somewhat of a... they were very, very strong in 6th edition. In 7th edition, however, they've been brought back a little bit, not too much. They're still really quite strong. However, it's not really affected the Riptides. You wouldn't be sending your Riptides into close combat most of the time. They are better at shooting. They get all the benefits of being a monstrous creature, but they are a monstrous creature that is better at shooting. Hence, the Tau army are all better at shooting anyway. So, has it really affected the Tau monstrous creature? I'd say not overly. The Tau monstrous creature still is effectively an entity on its own, because it has its Nova Charger, so its Nova Charger gives its own special rules. The close combat side, as I said, you wouldn't really find many Riptides going into battle unless all you had was Riptides. So yeah, monstrous creatures, those rules haven't really affected the Tau. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to talk about is bound and unbound. Bound and unbound. In 6th edition, you could take dual force, so you could take double, effectively, so long as you had the necessary units, which could be quite good. You could take 4 small troops, 2 HQs, and then 6 Riptides. Personally, I would have liked to mix it up. You'd have 2 or 3 Riptides. Well, you'd have 2 Riptides, possibly 3 or 4 units of... No, you'd have 3 units of Crisis Suits, and then you could have a stealth team in there as well. That's your elites all chosen. But 7th edition came out, and now 2,000 points, it doesn't make a difference. You can have unbound or bound. So now you can have just a whole army of Riptides. You don't have to worry even about having a HQ and 2 troops. You could just go out and go, I'm just going to have 10 Riptides on the field. Does that make a difference? Yes. And no. Yes, if you haven't got the Farsight Enclave, you could just spam Crisis Suits. And Crisis Suits are, even though you can only get a 3-man squad, they are quite powerful. You can chop and change them. You can have flamers and melters on them, so they can take out troops and tanks. They are, as I said earlier, the Swiss Army knife, if you like, of the Warhammer 40k universe. But if you have the Farsight Enclave, you can do that anyway, so it's not too much of a wow, let's change the whole thing. What it does mean is you can take as many tanks as you like. Again, as I said, they can zip and move. You can take as many Crisis Suits as you like. You can take as many troops as you like. All of it means is basically you can put in so much firepower into your army. Obviously, myself and Mark, we don't play overly competitive. I mean, our games are competitive in that we have a league and we have a few tournaments here and there throughout the year. But we don't go out for the all-out win, or it's not a cheesy list. Some of the things in it can be a little bit cheesy, but most of the time they're fairly balanced list with an edge of competitiveness in there. So I don't think that we'll be playing 10 Riptides with 2 Hammerheads or whatever. Which
it'd be expensive to buy as well.
That would be expensive to buy. However, I have got 4 Riptides. So it's possible. I also have 4 Hammerheads.
Just in case.
Just in case. Just in case the engine stops. But so I don't think that has really affected us and our play style. It might affect Tau and other armies in the big wide world, but for us at Xenovids, we don't really play like that, so it's not really affected us. Not really affected the Tau in that you can still fit in plenty in 2,000 points, and of that it's very, as I said, versatile at shooting troops, shooting monstrous creatures, shooting vehicles. So unbound, bound, not too fussed about that. So the units themselves in 7th edition. Now, Tau don't have a lot of like characters, if you like. They have some HQs, which, but they're not a lot of like proper characters. But hey, Commander Farsight though, he's a special commander, basically that fought off orcs, didn't want to leave, and so he's kind of been ousted by the rest of the Tau, but he's still like the beans. If he turns up, you're gonna go, oh my god, it's Farsight! Ah! Part of the reason is because he can bring with him 7 crisis suits as his bodyguard. That is like a Death Star unit. That comes in and then just can take out everything around it. Because again, you can upgrade the crisis suits with this, that, both, anything. So yeah, that when I fielded that before, it's been possibly close to about 1,000 points with all upgrades and all this. But that was at least in 6th edition. It may have even been in 5th edition before the Codex came out. So it may have changed, but it is a powerful unit. You drop that in, because they're bodyguards, they automatically pass Lookout Sirs, so you'll be passing off wounds here and there. Farsight walks up with his Dawn Blade and just pokes you in the face. Quite a nice big unit. If you've got the points, if you've got the models, maybe worth taking now and again. For me, in our tournaments, I probably won't take it just because it will probably be at least a third, if not more, of the army, and Tau don't suit being too elitist. They need as much firepower as they can get. They do have preferred enemy for the orcs as well, as I said, because of Farsight's special rules and how he was brought up. Commander Shadow Sun. Now, Shadow Sun is good with stealth suits, as she's in a stealth suit herself. She's got 2 fusion blasters, so basically a tank hunter. I've never really fielded Shadow Sun. She could be quite good, but I couldn't tell you. Maybe I'll get it in the future and field her now and again, but at the minute I couldn't tell you if she's amazing or not. Personally, I just like my bog standard commanders, which we'll get to in a sec. Okay, so we have the Unvar, basically an ethereal with 2 bodyguards. Again, quite good. Previous to this codex, the ethereals were kind of a jokey unit. You'd sent them in, and if they died, they boosted your army. So you'd try and kill them off, like send them out front or whatnot. We actually had one. I've named mine. He's called Clive. Clive was in a Christmas Cup once, and he actually got the Survivor Award because in every game he pretty much survived because nobody would shoot at him. I was just like, no, come on, kill him.
I think at one point you had him on top of a bastion and you tried to walk him off the building, and so he'd fall down and take that test that he's fallen off the building, and he passed.
Yeah, he somehow survived that as well. So they weren't really much cop in the old edition. I don't know many people that took them, but I've not really played with them in this edition either, again because I just take the standard commander, so I couldn't tell you how good they are, but maybe I'll try them out in the new year or in some friendlies. We've got another character here, Dark Strider. Not really used him either. Fireblade, not really used him. So there's a few that I don't use, and then we get to the Commander. The Commander, the amount of times that I've been 2 models left on the table and it's been my Commander and he's still on full wounds and he's just like bossing everybody around him. I upgrade my main commander of each army to have the Iridium armor plating, or Iridium armor, which basically gives them a 2+ armor. I then put a shield generator on them, so they've got a 4+ invulnerable, and then I give them stimulant injectors. It's costly, but for a base of 85, you've got a 2+, a 4+, and a 5+ on there, which isn't bad. And then you've got strength of 5, and because of the Iridium armor, it then goes up to toughness 5 as well. They're not bad units. I really quite enjoy having commanders. As I said, their survivability is very good, and they can take, again, a choice of weapons. You could put cyclic ion blasters on them, which then you can overpower, which can take down tanks, which can take down troops, which can just fire in the air as fireworks if you wanted to. I wouldn't though, because you're kind of trying to win. Or you can take fusion blasters, you can take missile pods. So again, the versatility and the survivability of the commander is very good. Sometimes I put an engager gauntlet on it as well, so they've just got a bit of whack in close combat. For me, that's only a 1-hit though, so it's kind of not amazing. It's nice sometimes to have that, just that little edge of you, but again, if you've got the points you can, if not, don't. Again, the commanders can take bodyguards, which automatically pass their lookout stairs, and you can upgrade them with stuff as well. I like dropping mine in next to Mark's tanks and just blowing the tanks up straight away. Or dropping them in next to the troops and just putting a flamer template over them. Very nice indeed. So out of the HQs, the commander's my favourite. I haven't tried too many of the others. I tried Farsight but a little while ago, but it's worth a go trying them all. None of them are terrible, but there's a few that stand out from the crowd. Troops. So for me, there's only one troop in the Tau Codex. That is the Fire Warrior team. Fire Warrior teams have got the best ranged troop choice gun, the best standard strength of a troop choice gun. Okay, they're not as tough as some other troops, but they're like Guardians or stuff from Eldar or whatever. They are not designed to be as strong or as tough. You can upgrade them again with having a Shazwi, and they have marker lights, target locks, that kind of thing. Good standard points, 54 points for 6 warriors. Can't really go too wrong with that. Yeah, good standard troop. I'd take them over the Kroot any day. Kroot, they do have their benefits though. They can infiltrate, they can attack from the sides. There's quite a lot of them in each troop. I just feel that to have a decent troop of Kroot, that's quite difficult to say. Try it now, go. Good. A decent troop of Kroot, you have to have all of the different things But then if you have all the different things, you're kind of limited yourself, and they're just kind of cannon fodder. And if you got Kroot as a troop and you're cannon foddering, it means you're trying to get close to them, which, okay, you could speed bump them, but is there any point in speed bumping them when the Fire Warriors can outshoot most things anyway? So personally, I wouldn't take the Kroot. I don't rate them too much. I have fielded them, and yeah, they're not. If I had a big huge battle, then yeah, maybe I'd field them, but for me, they're just not my cup of tea. Devilfish, they are quite nice. As I said earlier, vehicles that skimmers are very good. Devilfish having a front armour of 12, side armour of 11 and a rear armour of 10, they're quite a good vehicle for transporting your Fire Warrior teams around. And you can upgrade them to have different equipment on there. Elites, Crisis teams, again, a bit like the Commanders, they're very versatile, they can be survivable. They've got a 3+ armour. You can put shield generators on them. It's expensive, but you can. And they can deep strike in, they can muck up everything, basically. Quite nice to have Crisis teams. Stealth teams, again, not fielded them too much, but recently I fielded them a couple of times and I quite enjoyed them. I seem to remember enjoying them before, but other stuff came out that I kind of wanted to field more. So stealth teams, again, are quite versatile. They're kind of supporting the Crisis teams, they're kind of doing the clean-up jobs. The Riptide, again, monstrous creature. It's quite nice to have a big unit on there, with its Nova Reactor as well. However, the Nova Reactor for me personally has done more harm than good, I think, over the last season. But that's just my rolling. I can't complain too much about that. So the elites for the Tau are very, very strong. All three elite choices, I wouldn't have a problem fielding. I would quite happily field any of those three if I could only have a choice. But if push come to shove and I could only field like one and it had to be my choice, I'd probably go for the Crisis teams. The Crisis teams for me are what ties the whole army together. Fast attack, Pathfinder teams, obviously they've got their Marklights. They are quite good. I would normally field them in a Devilfish, but I think maybe not. Maybe try now and again to just field them on their own, see how they get on, just out in the open. Not necessarily out in the open, put them in cover, that's probably best. But they can fire their Marklights off and they can help the rest of the units. I quite enjoy Pathfinders, and you can, in this codex, you can upgrade them with certain guns and different equipment as well. Vespid Stingwings. I've never really had Vespid Stingwings. They're kind of a bit tougher. They are more designed, I suppose, for close combat, but they're not. As I said, I've not really fielded them, so I can't give you a good, in-depth critique of them. But for me, I personally wouldn't take them, but unless it was for a big battle or even a narrative campaign. But yeah, they're more suited compared to the rest of the Tau army for close combat. They've got a better toughness, their initiative is high. Drone squadron. If you've got a few points to spare and you can't put anything else in, drones are good because they annoy your opponent so much. They can zip around, they can move around. They've not got brilliant ballistic or weapon skills, so if they are on their own, they might struggle to do anything. But you can put them. You can have a shield generator in them and give everybody a cover save. You can have marker drones, so again, marker lights in there, it's quite nice. They also have the supporting fire special rule, which means that if something is charged near them, they also get to fire. And piranhas. Piranhas are big jet bikes, if you like. They can zip around, they're quite good. You can put them in squadrons. 40 points for one, not bad. They have got 11, 10, 10, so they're probably one of the best jet bikes if you class them as jet bikes. They've got 2 hull points. You can put seeker missiles on them. You can have up to 5 piranhas. So that's 200 points for one squadron. You can upgrade their burst cannons to fusion blasters. So they are a bit like a niggly bug. They just zip around and they're just constantly there, being a nuisance. Out of the fast attack, I'd probably take Pathfinders and Piranhas if I could. But we also have flyers. Now, the Sunshark Bomber and the Razor Shark Strike Fighter are 2 of the flyers. Obviously, in this edition, you can also take any Forge World models as well, as long as they're for Warhammer 40k, not just Apocalypse. You could even take Apocalypse models, but we don't like to do that. So you can also put the Barracuda in there as well. The Barracuda is quite a lethal flyer, but the Barracuda, I've always said, is best in 3s. 1 doesn't really do anything, it gets shot down at first sight. 2 aren't too bad, but can't really maintain themselves. 3, try deal with 3 Barracudas, it's a bit of a nightmare, especially as they have really quick movement. I can't remember the name of it, which gives them a better cover save from last time I read it. They can. It's going to annoy me that I can't remember the name, but it's like I can't remember. But yeah, they're quite good. I quite enjoy Barracudas. I've got 4 of them. 4 Barracudas. Apparently I like things in 4s in the Tau Army. But hey, who doesn't? I also have the Bomber. The Bomber is quite nice. It's still got quite a lot of shooting support on them. But then it can drop bombs and it can regenerate the bombs as well. So it's not just one bomb. You can fly on, bomb someone, regenerate a bomb next turn, fly over another one, bomb them again. So that's quite nice. They also have high velocity deployment. Basically the drones can come out as you're coming in, as you're moving, and still fire normally. It's quite powerful there. The the Razor Shark Strike Fighter, I've never really used, but obviously is more of a air-to-air combat, and so they both have their uses, the Sun Shark and the Razor Shark. So the 3 flyers that you could take for these, I think, are all quite good. They're all not too bad point costs, and not too bad, just in their gameplay. So again, there's the 5 choices you could take. You could take Pathfinders, you could take Piranhas, you could take the Sunshot Bomber, the Razor Shark, Strike Fighter, or the Barracuda for your fast attack. Quite a lot of choice there. Obviously 3 of them are flyers though. Next, the Heavy Support. Heavy Support are a bit like the elites in that they're very strong throughout. The Broadside team, obviously their infantry, they've got a 2+ armor save as standard, and you can have them at the back just shooting things down. They're quite nice. From this codex coming out, I haven't had the new Broadside, so I haven't fielded them. I'm quite excited to field them at some point though, because I've got the new Broadsides and they're ready and raring to go. So we'll have to see how they fare, but Twin Linked as standard on there as well is quite nice. They've got smart missile systems. They are quite deadly, but we'll have to see how deadly when I use them. The Hammerhead. Now the Hammerhead, it's nice having a Hammerhead. You have a single shot, strength 10, AP 1. That's going to take out any small tanks if you hit. You can then upgrade it with a submission round, which strength 6, AP 4. It's nice. And you've got like burst cannons or missile pods on there as well. So you've got a lot of good troop killing, and you've got a couple of your big gun to take it down. Now it's 13, 12, 10 as well, so it's not too bad at the front. Its ballistic skill is 4, so it's probably one of the best ballistic skills in the Tau army. You can then put in Long Strike. Now Long Strike increases it again to a ballistic skill 5. He's got other rules. Third enemy for Imperial Guard, tank hunters. Basically he just soups up an already decent tank to being that little bit more. You can only take him once in an army though, so that's a bit of a downfall, but he is quite nice if you have 3 Hammerheads for example. Put him in the middle, you've got 3 Hammerheads with one that's like Top Gun. It's like Maverick from... He's not like Maverick, but he's better than the others, so you know, it's not bad having him. I've taken him a few times. I found him quite good. Just having that extra ballistic skill and those other few rules is quite nice. The Skyray, it's all about missiles. I've not fielded it too many times, and when I have fielded it, it's been shot down because somebody was scared of all the missiles. I quite enjoy it. Again, would I take it over a Hammerhead? Probably not. The Hammerheads I'd probably take first, but if I had the points and if I had enough models, I'd take a Skyray. The Sniper Drone team, they're alright, they're not too bad. They're best like in quite a few, so you can probably take out a few wounds on like monstrous creatures and stuff. But personally, I prefer to have a few vehicles. I like my tanks in there, so I don't think you'd be getting me to have too many sniper teams. That's all the units in there. It's quite a balanced army. They are quite strong, but they do have their weak points as well. Obviously, if you get into close combat, even if you say close combat to them, they probably fall down, have a bit of a heart attack, and die. So the days that Tau win close combat is A, rare, and B, an amazing day. They celebrate them for years and years afterwards. So yes, they have their strong points, but they also have their weaknesses as well. In 7th edition, where would they sit? I personally think they are quite good at moving about, which gets them points. They're quite good at shooting, which kills their opponents, but their survivability on the whole isn't brilliant, which then brings them down again. I would probably put them in the top couple of the middle tier, or I'd put them at the very bottom of the top tier. So they're kind of sitting up there, but they're not the best of the best. I think at the minute they are for me, but that's my choice. Yeah, I'd put them middle to top. Thank you very much for watching. I've been Ian, and I'll see you in the next video.